Hey, hello.
Morning, Carol. Thank you for
Hey.
joining me on my coffee break.
Hi, Garrett. Happy to be here.
Hey, let's uh, let's just start very quickly by asking, have you got a coffee? And
Yeah,
how
sure.
do you have your coffee?
Today, black.
Black or strong man? I'm a
Strong
cappuccino man.
taste. Okay.
But thanks for joining me. It's my coffee break, and I just wanted to have a quick chat today about the future of Flutter at itCraft, and yeah, just want to ask you a few questions. So feel free to uh, go into some details if you can.
Sure, sure.
So, first of all, 2021, itCraft has decided to invest quite heavily into new Flutter teams, Flutter development teams. What's prompted the decision for itCraft to invest so heavily in Flutter development teams?
Okay. So, yeah, the mobile app market has been screaming out for a good cross-platform solution for a long time. We've been working in this market for more than couple of years, more than 7 years, and we have worked with different technologies like PhoneGap, Ionic, hybrid web and mobile solutions. Recently, React Native and Flutter. And in my opinion, Flutter is currently just the best cross-platform framework for mobile app development, and we believe it will stay here for a while. So it looks like it will certainly outlast some of the other cross-platform tech, and um, yeah, we're investing in building a Flutter team. So sometimes I say that the Flutter is the fifth generation of cross-platform tech, and it is superior to other cross-platform tech. And this is why we are willing to invest heavily in expanding our Flutter resources. Uh, yeah, this is it.
Okay, nice one, nice one. So, for a world-class software house like itCraft, is it just a matter of having one cross-platform technology in the repertoire? So Flutter or React Native, or has itCraft chosen Flutter because it's significantly superior, as you mentioned just before?
Uh, yeah, good question, but unfortunately, the answer isn't. It's not so simple. So we had considered many different aspects, and
Mm-hmm.
firstly, there are technical aspects like performance, UX and UI, and the overall framework capabilities, and also the other aspects like commercial decisions, like availability of resources, the willingness of the team to learn new tech. So you need to weigh up few things. So you mentioned about React Native, and React Native comes from the React world, so a web front-end framework, which obviously means that web developers lean towards React Native more. And Flutter, on the other hand, it's a totally new framework with a new Dart programming language. It's far more attractive to native Android and native iOS developers. And the trend that we have noticed is that experienced native mobile developers have a desire to learn new tech, this new tech platform provided by Google. And just to just to mention a little bit about our internal team, the story is that when we tried to introduce React Native, our developers reacted with allergic reactions. So we thought, no, it's just a bad idea to convert mobile native developers to someone who will build an app in React Native, which comes from the web world. And when we tried the same thing with Flutter, we saw that the reaction is totally different. They were totally excited about learning that new tech.
It's funny you say that
And
because
yeah,
the conversations I have with our Flutter developers have always been really different to the conversations I have with our React Native developers, because the Flutter developers seem to love Flutter, yes, and they're excited about projects using Flutter, whereas React Native developers, they're fulfilling a task, yes, and I guess that it brings me a question about the team. So, what does it mean for itCraft's React Native team?
Of course, we have built a number of really good applications in React Native over the last few years, and we still have capabilities and in-house knowledge to be able to support these projects. But our growth strategy is to take full advantage of what Flutter has to offer, and we expect that the demand for Flutter tech will be quite significant in 2021 and beyond. So I would say we stopped the investment in React Native and extended our investment in Flutter. Yeah. What's the next question, Garrett? You wanted to ask?
Well, I guess there was a lot of hype around React Native in the past. When React Native came out, and there were a lot of inquiries about React Native development, and everyone was excited. And companies like Airbnb chose React Native to build their apps. But I think correct me if I'm wrong, we saw Airbnb, for example, switch their technology from React Native to native. So I don't know, do you think this is going to be similar for Flutter? What's your thoughts?
I would say it's a million or even $1 billion question, because we never know. But and I cannot predict the future. Although if you ask Bartek or Rafał, I was a little bit like a Nostradamus to some extent when trying to predict the tech future. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just analyzing the information that's coming to me. And the information that I have in front of me is that we haven't seen any startup or any company who tried Flutter and failed. And of course, it's a little bit early, because it's been like only a couple of years when Flutter was introduced to the market. But that's a really good information, I would say. I mean, or the lack of that information is a good information. This is what I'm saying. And compared to React Native, we've heard at least about few big brands who tried React Native and failed. And we've heard about lots of startups which tried React Native and had to rebuild an app to native framework, into native framework. It doesn't. I'm not saying the React Native is bad. I'm just saying the capabilities of React Native are lower, for sure lower than the native tech.
Okay. I think, I don't know, we've heard different stories in the past where people have built React Native apps because the company recommended React Native, and it turns out that they only had React Native developers. So obviously itCraft wants to keep their Flutter developers busy all the time. How will you determine whether you propose Flutter or whether you propose native development? Will it just depend on team availability, or will Flutter be able to compete directly with native apps? How will you manage resources in this aspect?
Of course. This is the temptation to use the resources that we have is really, really strong. But no, it's not what we are doing. We always start a project with a workshop. So we talk with our customer, we talk with end users, we try to understand what's the goal of the project, what's the purpose of the project. And we focus totally on product. So on a product and on a user. So there cannot be any compromise when it comes to choosing a tech. You need to choose a tech. The tech is something that comes later on. Yeah, first you focus on the user and the goal, the purpose, and then the techs come in. So we want to understand the business goals of the client and address the solution or address the solution for that need with the tech. So the tech is the last thing we choose. So of course, there's nothing better than native Android and native iOS when it comes to building mobile app. But in the startup world, maybe MVP or R&D project, when you start MVP or R&D project, the best doesn't mean always the best possible. Sometimes it means it's more important to validate the business model instead of building a full scalable solution in the first place, in the first phase of the project. So Flutter will always be a huge consideration for MVP and startups because ultimately the business goal is to test the product market fit and do it as quickly as possible. So you don't have to build the best possible app in your MVP phase.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's the thing to understand, I guess, is the tech supports the business model, right? If you have a bad business model, no matter what tech you use, it's going to fail. So
yes, that's correct.
Good for people to hear that itCraft chooses the tech based around delivering the best business results, and that's how people should be focused. I got time for a couple more questions before I have to get back to work. So, what about the the buzz around React Native in the past was that it had familiar web technology, and so many of the companies leaned towards React Native because of that reason. Do you know how Flutter compares in that sphere?
Sure. So, of course, it's still a young project, and but Google's promise is that they will provide a tech with which you will be able to build multiple different solutions, so a web solution, desktop solution, and mobile solution. But as we all know, the first thing that Google actually provided was a framework to build mobile apps. And this is what Flutter is really good at. On their official webpage, you can find information that you can already build a web app with Flutter. But of course, I haven't seen any product that's been built with Flutter web framework yet. So maybe there are few projects that have been done with Flutter for a web for a web platform, but no, I would say it's not yet production ready. There are just other technologies better better suited to do it. Yeah, so it's not a good choice to choose Flutter for a web project right now. Maybe next year, maybe in 2 years from now.
Okay, so last question then. I want you to go out on a limb. If we sit here again in 5 years' time, do you think we'll be still talking about how great Flutter is?
Yes no? Like I said, I'm not Nostradamus, but what I'm doing is I'm really I really think that Flutter will be here. It will stay with us a little bit longer than the other tech like Ionic or Cordova or even React Native. So this is what makes me think like that is that when Facebook started their business, they created a React web framework, and then they've based on that tech they've created React Native, and they thought, that's a good thing, and they've created lots of buzz, marketing buzz around it. And this is how React Native grew. And Google developers did a little bit different thing. They first thought about the problem, so creating a reliable, with a good performance and with a good UX and UI mobile app development framework. And they focused on the problem. And they came up with a really good idea and really good solution, totally out of the box, because they did it totally differently compared to what React Native did and Ionic. And this is what I believe in, that the Google developers, they've crossed all the borders to come up with the best solution for the problem of creating both Android and iOS apps. And I think this will just it will last for a longer time than just the marketing that was done around React Native. Yeah, that's it.
Nice one. All right, Karol, I have to go back to work. Thanks for your insights on the future of Flutter at itCraft, and thanks for sharing a coffee with me. I will get back to work, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thank you, Garrett, for this meeting, and thank you for the coffee.
Thanks, Karol.
Bye.
Bye.